once again to our commerce classroom. In this session, we will discuss about capital structure and different theories of capital structure. All of you know that capital structure is the proportionate amount of securities that make up capitalization. Capital structure is the proportionate amount of different securities that make up capitalization. We know about the term capitalization. It is actually the total amount of securities issued by a company. Capitalization is the total amount of securities issued by a company. Our capital structure is proportionate amount of securities that makes up capitalization. We have another term also, financial structure. Financial structure refers to the financial resources, both short term and long term, appearing in the liability side of our balance sheet. Then we discuss about different theories of capital structure. We know all the theories of capital structure try to establish a theoretical relationship between capital structure, overall cost of capital and value of the firm. Our first theory of capital structure is net income approach. Second theory, net operating income approach. Third theory, Modigliani-Miller approach. And the fourth theory of capital structure is traditional approach. We discuss about all these four theories in detail. Our first theory is net income approach. Net income approach, that theory is a theory of relevance. Its reason is this: our proportion of debt and equity in the capital structure affect the value of the firm and also the overall cost of capital. Therefore, this theory is known as theory of relevance. Net income approach is theory of relevance. It's a reason our proportion of debt and equity in the capital structure affect the value of the firm and the overall cost of capital of the firm. Then we know that in our capital structure, if we increase the proportion of debt in our total capital structure, that leads to reduction in the cost of capital and increase in the overall value of the firm and market value of ordinary shares. I repeat, if we increase the debt portion in our capital structure, that will lead to decrease in the overall cost of capital of the firm, and at the same time the value of the firm and the market value of our ordinary shares will increase. In case of reverse, if we decrease the proportion of debt in our capital structure, that will lead to increase in the overall cost of capital and decrease in the value of the firm and market value of ordinary shares. This is what our net income approach says. Then under our net income approach, we based that net income approach on the basis of certain assumptions. Our first assumption is this: there is no taxes. First assumption, there is no taxes. Second assumption, cost of debt is always less than the cost of equity. And our third assumption is this: the risk perception of our equity holders will not change. Whatever may be the proportion of debt we use in our capital structure, the risk elements, risk perception of our shareholders will not change. These are the three assumptions behind this net income approach. Then under this net income approach, the value of our firm is equal to value of equity shares plus value of debt capital. Value of the firm is equal to market value of equity shares plus market value of our debt capital. Then how can we find out the overall cost of capital under this net income approach? The formula to find out the overall cost of capital under this net income approach is this: operating profit, earning before interest and tax, divided by value of the firm. We know value of the firm is equal to market value of firm's equity shares plus market value of our debt. This is all about our net income approach. Our second theory of capital structure is net operating income approach, NOI, net operating income approach. This NOI, net operating income approach, is a theory of irrelevance. This is because whatever may be proportion of debt or equity in our capital structure, that will not affect the value of the firm or overall cost of capital of the firm. Overall cost of capital of the firm will remain constant, and the market value of the firm will not be affected by the change in the debt equity proportion in the capital structure. So this theory is known as theory of irrelevance. Then this theory explains this irrelevant element in such a way that increase in the proportion of debt in the capital structure would lead to increase in the risk of equity shareholders. Because of that increased risk, they expect more dividends from the firm. Therefore, the cost of equity share capital will increase. So, the lower cost of debt is neutralized by increase in the cost of equity. Therefore, the overall cost of capital will remain same and the market value of the firm will not change. The main assumptions of net operating income approach are: first one, no corporate tax; second one, business risk remain constant at every level of debt equity mix; and then third assumption, the market capitalizes the value of the firm as a whole. These are the three assumptions behind our net operating income approach. Then in case of this net operating income approach, the formula we are using to find out the value of the firm. Value of the firm is equal to earning before interest and tax, operating profit, divided by overall cost of capital. This is all about our net operating income approach. Our third theory of capital structure is Modigliani-Miller approach. It is also known as MM approach. Modigliani-Miller approach is similar to that of net operating income approach. If we not consider the impact of tax, MM approach is similar to that of net operating income approach. This theory explains that cost of capital is not affected by debt equity mix. The value of the firm will not be affected because of the change in the debt equity mix. If we increase the debt portion in our capital structure, automatically the risk of equity shareholders will increase. In order to compensate that increased risk, they expect higher rate of return from the firm. So the overall cost of capital will remain same. So this theory says that whatever may be the proportion of debt or equity in our capital structure, that will not affect the value of the firm and overall cost of capital of the firm. Then the main assumptions of this theory: first one, perfect capital market; second assumption, investors have the same expectation of firm's net operating income; third assumption, business risk is equal among all firms within the similar environment; and then fourth assumption, DP ratio, dividend payout ratio, is 100%, and this theory itself based on the assumption that there is no tax. I repeat, first assumption, perfect capital market; second assumption, investors have the same expectation of firm's net operating income; third assumption, business risk is equal among all firms within the similar environment; and then fourth one, 100% dividend payout; and then last one, the theory itself based on the assumption that there is no corporate, there is no taxes. Then the value of the firm under this MM approach, earning before interest and tax divided by overall cost of capital, because this theory is similar to that of net operating income approach if we ignore the impact of tax. But in 1963, in an article published by Modigliani-Miller, they accepted the fact that corporate tax are in existence of corporate tax. If corporate tax are in existence, the value of the firm will increase or cost of capital decrease with the use of debt in the capital structure. The reason our interest is tax deductible. Because of this reason, the value of a leveraged firm, the value of a firm using debt capital in their capital structure, value of a leveraged firm will be more than that of value of an unleveraged firm. Unleveraged firm, a firm that doesn't use debt capital in their capital structure. So, if the existence of corporate tax accepts the value of a leveraged firm is more than that of value of an unleveraged firm, then value of a leveraged firm is equal to value of an unleveraged firm plus debt into tax rate. I repeat, value of a leveraged firm is equal to value of unleveraged firm plus debt into tax rate. Value of unleveraged firm is equal to earning before interest and tax into 1 minus T divided by K0, overall cost of capital. These are all about our MM approach. Then our fourth theory of capital structure is traditional approach. Fourth theory, traditional approach. This traditional approach is an intermediate approach between net income approach and net operating income approach. In our net income approach, we know the capital structure, the proportion of debt or equity in the capital structure affect the overall cost of capital of the firm and the market value of ordinary shares or value of the firm. That's what our net income approach says. Net operating income approach says whatever may be the proportion of debt or equity in the capital structure, that will not affect the overall cost of capital of the firm and value of the firm. Our traditional approach is an intermediate approach between this net income approach and net operating income approach. This traditional approach says that initially, because of the use of debt capital in the capital structure, the value of the firm increases. Initially, because of the use of debt capital in the capital structure, the value of the firm increases. By using a judicious mixture of debt and equity in the capital structure, a firm can attain optimum capital structure. Beyond a particular point, if we use debt in our capital structure, beyond a particular point, the cost of equity share capital increases, because if we use debt in our capital structure more than a specified limit, the financial risk of equity shareholders will increases. Because of that increased risk, they expect higher rate of return. That is what our traditional approach says. These are all about our capital structure and different theories of capital structure. I think the topics explained here is clear for all of you. We will meet again. Till then, goodbye.